Good morning, beautifuls. Nick from Naturally Nick here, and I help women who've had breast cancer reduce their risk of getting it again by living a healthiest life they possibly can. Now, last week I talked about estrogen and some of the hidden places that we find estrogen in our diets, because when our estrogen levels are elevated, that increases our risk of getting breast cancer. So we want to do everything that we can to reduce our estrogen and make sure that it's balanced with progesterone. So this morning I just want to dig a little bit deeper into the beloved dairy. So dairy is a hormonal liquid. It's from a cow that is pregnant, and there is definitely traces of estrogen in dairy. Now you might say, well, maybe there's not that much there, Nicole. Well, maybe there isn't. But if you're having 3 or 4 serves of dairy a day, it's going to add up. And the estrogen in dairy is kind of like just the tip of the iceberg. So the next thing that is in dairy is a growth hormone, and it's called a insulin-like growth factor, IGF-1. Now, when cows want to get a baby calf to be a big cow very quickly, much more quicker than humans. And in fact, the amount of protein that is in cow's milk compared to human breast milk is about a third. So they need that growth factor. Now, that growth factor is, we get that. However that happens, we end up having an increase of insulin-like growth factor in our blood. And the problem with that is that that is a powerful cancer promoter. And I've got my notes here. It's linked to breast, lung, colon, and prostate cancer. There has been studies that have shown that. So that's the second reason why I wouldn't advise having dairy if you've had breast cancer, or you want to reduce your risk of getting breast cancer. The second thing is the casein in dairy products. So you may have heard of the China study written by Colin T. Campbell. Now, he did over 40 years worth of study into this, and it was really interesting because he grew up on a dairy farm, and it was probably the last thing that he expected to be doing, studying for his whole life. And basically what he found is that the casein in dairy and all animal proteins increase tumour growth, but plant proteins don't. Now, there are a lot of studies out there that also would refute that. And I just ask you to go dig a little bit deeper and see who is refuting that, where their funding has come from, because quite often in the nutritional world, big companies fund their own studies. So yeah, just throw that in. And thirdly, fourthly, let's have a look at the big picture. The big picture is that we are not getting any healthier. Our disease rates are going through the roof. And we already know that the World Health Organization has deemed processed meats as a class 1 carcinogen on the same level as smoking and asbestos. Meat is a class 2. And when you have a look at an amazing study called the Blue Zone study, they looked at the 5 populations who still exist today that are the healthiest, the happiest, and they live the longest. Now, what are they eating? Well, I can tell you it's not a lot of animal protein. So they definitely do eat it, but it's not the main focus of their diets. And of course, it's going to be really good sources of animal protein as well, meaning it's not factory farmed meat and eggs and all that sort of thing. They focus on fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and beans and legumes. No processed food whatsoever. So the take-home message is, let's get back to eating more real food. And to reduce your risk of getting breast cancer again, I would strongly recommend that you think about moving away from dairy products. There are so many plant-based milks, rice milk, almond milk, oat milk, so many of them. And have a look at nutritional yeast as one of your as a cheese alternative. Yes, it's not like a block of cheese, it's more like a flaky parmesan, but it does give you that great cheesy flavour. So, thanks for listening. I also have a closed Facebook group called Thriving After Breast Cancer, which I would love you to join if you want to just hang out with women who are on this journey of recovering from breast cancer and learning how to live our best life while reducing our risk of getting it again. Thanks. Talk to you soon. Bye.